Tonight, high-level Kenyan team in Addis exude confidence of a Raila Odinga win in the upcoming AUC chairmanship elections as the hours count down to the showdown.
The prospects for President for Honorable Raila to capture the seat are very, very high.
Also tonight, ex-Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and his wife are guilty of $500 million corruption scandal.
Count one, first accused person, guilty. Count two, first accused person and Saika 2 estate developers of the accused person, guilty.
What will be his fate?
This is not the end. We have withdrawn our members from the House Business Committee, and that's not the end.
We must respect court orders. Court orders are not supposed to be debated and a question put.
And Azimio fault Speaker Witangule's ruling on the hotly contested issue of party majority in Parliament.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibu sana, coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. This is the Daily Report, and quite a lot lined up just for you. Later on, we'll be getting into the conversation of registering for a trademark. Either you want to start up your business and all that, but you're wondering, how do I register for a trademark? All that from someone from the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, that is KIPI. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Catherine Simaloi is on your sign language. Let's start off with the news. Former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and his wife Susan Wangari, alongside their co-accused, will on Thursday morning know their fate regarding the irregular award of a total 588 million cash shillings roads tender.
Following his conviction for conflict of interest in the 588 million shillings road tender corruption case against him, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu will be informed of his fate Thursday morning.
Lucas, you are number 3, eh?
On Wednesday afternoon, the Milimani Anti-Corruption Court declared that Waititu, while in office as governor, unlawfully acquired an indirect personal interest in more than 25 million shillings from Testimony Enterprises Limited and transferred the money through his firm and business name.
Count one, first accused person, guilty. Count two, first accused person and Saika 2 estate developers of the accused person, guilty. Count three, first accused person and Saika 2 Estate Developers Limited, guilty.
Waititu's wife Susan Wangari, former Kiambu Roads official Lucas Wahinya, and directors Charles Shege and Beth Wangeshi of Testimony Enterprises Limited were also found guilty.
For those counts, guilty and convicted as charged with regard to the offense of money laundering, contrary to section 311 in Roman as read with 16 of Pokamla, and account 10, 11, 13, I find the accused persons not guilty.
In their request for a non-custodial sentence, they claimed to have suffered greatly since their arraignment. The magistrate, however, rejected the former county boss' earlier assertions that the case was politically motivated, highlighting how he had examined documents provided by defense and prosecution and had not discovered any indication of a political agenda.
Their parents, their providers, are languishing in jail, serving long custodial sentences or unable to raise monies imposed on them as fines. We don't need such a scenario. Sentence can make a statement in a rehabilitative manner.
As Anti-Corruption Court is expected to issue a final verdict Thursday morning, the prosecution has pleaded with the magistrate to issue a harsh sentence against Waitito and the co-accused to act as a stern warning to all public office holders. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Mike Kagungo. Meanwhile, the Tourism Regulatory Authority has revoked the license for Taita Hills Resort following multiple complaints, including racial discrimination, verbal and physical harassment, and violations of employee rights. Employees also reported General Manager Sanjeev Kumar has been mistreating employees. In response, the Tourism Authority has directed Taita Hills Resort to submit a copy of its Human Resource Policy and Procedures Manual. Additionally, the resort has been instructed to issue substantive contracts to employees working without contracts, process promotions for employees who have been promoted but not affected, and ensure fair treatment of all staff.
The authority has recommended cancellation of Mr. Sanjeev Kumar's work permit to the Directorate of Immigration Services. We have recommended, and that recommendation I think is with the Immigration Department, because his character is not the character that we would want to approve as an authority.
And we are appealing to all the other facilities, because I've mentioned before, we are investigating quite a number where general managers are using vulgar language on staff, they are mistreating staff, and we are saying that has to stop. Any investor in the sector, please ensure that all your employees, especially those having work permits, make sure that they treat their staff well, because this is an habit that we have been experiencing in the sector, and we will not hesitate in taking action. So the chair has read what we have advised the hotel to do. They have like 5 items that they need to fulfill, up to and including employing a new general manager. Because this one we are expecting a Department of Immigration to take action, and we have recommended cancellation of the work permit. So we don't expect this gentleman to be working in that facility.
Right, let's get into matters health now. The Ministry of Health has established the Benefits Package and Tariffs Advisory Panel as BPTAP that will serve as a critical advisory board to guide decisions around the social health insurance program. Our health reporter Elizabeth Atieno now details the story.
Kenyans who have been calling for a review of the benefits package under the Social Health Authority, citing issues with health service delivery, will now have to wait for 2 more years. The Ministry of Health has announced the formation of a benefits package and tariffs advisory panel, which will begin its work immediately and later provide a comprehensive review of the package.
Domiciled at the Center of Epidemiological Modeling and Analysis at the University of Nairobi, the panel will serve as a critical advisory body to guide decisions around the social health insurance program.
The number that has taken means testing stands at 3.3 million, but the number registered is close to 19.4. So we really want to urge you to undertake the means testing process.
This means that patients seeking services overseas will also have to continue with the 500,000 Kenya shillings maximum package from SHA for the next 2 years.
Even the defunct NHIF only covered 500,000 shillings for treatment abroad. So we say it as a base, Let's start with what NHIF used to cover, but with more resources being availed through the Emergency Chronic Critical Illness Fund, then one of the tasks of the Benefits Package Tariffs Advisory Panel would be able to review this figure, whether we can be able to up it so that it can be able to cater for more resources.
The advisory panel will consist of experts in health economics, epidemiology, actuarial science, and health sciences. Its main responsibility will be to review and recommend a health benefits package that ensures comprehensive care, advise on fair pricing and tariffs for health services, and monitor the program's impact for ongoing improvements.
This approach will guide resource allocation to ensure Kenyans receive quality care without compromising financial sustainability.
The Ministry of Health has also announced that a strategic shift is underway to integrate HIV and TB management into the general healthcare system as a response to the uncertainty surrounding foreign aid. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, to the day's politics, and the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has upheld Kenya Kwanza Alliance as the majority coalition in the National Assembly. In a fresh declaration following the High Court decision nullifying his initial declaration, however, the Azimio Brigade insists it's not over and soon will be heading in courts to challenge Speaker Wetangula's ruling, which they termed as impunity, which shouldn't be tolerated. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku has the details.
After a long day of waiting to know who reigns as the majority in the National Assembly, finally Speaker Wetangula has upheld Kenya Kwanza Brigade as the majority as per the October 6, 2022 ruling, which established this.
Foregoing, the Kenya Kwanza coalition is the majority party, and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party is the minority party in the House.
In his ruling on implications of the court decision on the House proceedings, the Speaker cited the post-election agreements filed by the Registrar of Political Parties as a key factor in determining the majority status. Wetangula says as of today, Kenya Kwanza has 165 members, while Azimio has 154. Thus, the status quo remains in the House leadership as well as committees.
I still have a little more to go. I have not received any further communication from the Kenya Kwanza coalition replacing the member for Kikuyu, the member for Kilifi, the member for South Mugirango, and the member for Marsabit County as their preferred leadership in the House. Similarly, I have not received any communication from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party replacing the member for Suna East, the member for Kadiani, the member for Suba North, and the member for Embakasi West as their preferred leadership in the House.
However, the mover of the motion, Minority Whip and Suba South MP Millie Odhiambo, categorically stated of respecting the ruling, but with the reservations which will form the basis of the next course of action.
Ngamatek is the strong man. You are stepping on my mother's toe. But I will respectfully tell you, Mr. Speaker, that I don't agree with you as a strong man, that you are stepping on my mother's toe. And as Azimio, we are going to take further action.
The Azimio Brigade vehemently opposed the Speaker's ruling, indicating that would soon head to courts, with Minority Leader Junet Mohammed stating it will not only be messy and noisy, but smelly as well.
This is not the end. We have withdrawn our members from the House Business Committee, and that's not the end.
Let us respect court orders. Court orders are not supposed to be debated and a question put in the House on court orders.
It is going to be messy, it is going to be noisy, and it's going to have casualties. I promise. And we can see it is getting smelly already.
The High Court three-judge bench noted that Speaker Wetangula contradicted the Registrar of Political Parties, whose documents showed that Azimio had majority status in the year 2022 before 14 members jumped ship to the ruling party. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Liz, for that. Now, a family in Nairobi's Molem estate is desperately searching for the missing kin who disappeared on the 6th of February 2025. Daniel Kamau, a fourth-year student at the University of Nairobi, is said to have disappeared on the February of 6th at his brother's Molem home. Samira Mohammed with the details.
1 week after the disappearance of Daniel Kamau from his brother's residence in Nairobi's Molem estate, Kamau's family is now calling upon the government and security agencies to intervene and help them trace their missing kin.
But our hope is that he is alive, and we are praying that this information is going to reach to many people, and whoever will be able to find him can be able to inform us, inform the family, inform the police, and us, so that we're able to trace our beloved brother.
According to the family, on the fateful day, the fourth-year geospatial engineering student at the University of Nairobi left their Molem home to take a stroll while promising to come back. But 1 week down the line, he's yet to be seen.
Amekuwa mwanafunzi katika University of Nairobi akipursue geospatial engineering. Alikuwa mwaka wa 4 na kutoka kuanzia Thursday ndio tumekuwa hatujaweza kuzungumza na yeye, hatujajua mahali yupo.
Following his disappearance, a search was mounted with investigations by police officers tracing the 22-year-old's last phone signal at Kamulu, something the family claims to have left them with more questions than answers.
We realized his phone was traced around Kamulu, Antelope Avenue area, and so she managed to mobilize some people who went around Antelope area in Kamulu, and since Thursday evening till late last night, we have been combing the area.
These are student leaders from the University of Nairobi have called upon the government and relevant security agencies to intervene and expedite on the investigations on the whereabouts of the missing comrade and ensure he's reunited with his family and friends.
Authorities wajitie hami katika shughuli ya kumtafuta mwenzetu, maana jambo hili linasononesha pia kutusi kama wanafunzi na kama his classmates ambao kwa nyuma hao pia wako na distress, maana ni mwenzao, ni alikuwa mwaka wa 4, alikuwa tu bado 1 year graduate. Kwa hivyo ni vyema kama wanaweza tia juhudi zaidi katika zile harakati za kumtafuta.
Samira Mohammed for TV47 Nairobi.
Right, now let's head to Addis Ababa, where the 46th ordinary session of the AU Executive Council kicked off today. The summit, which is a precursor to the 38th Ordinary Assembly of Heads of State and Government, will see the ministers hold key elections, review policies and consider strategic draft legal instruments. And as George Marunga reports, Kenya's Prime CS and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, exuded confidence of Raila Odinga's win at the AUC elections, which will take place over the weekend.
Focus will shift to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia this week, as a showdown is expected at the African Union headquarters on the weekend. Prime CS and CS for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, joined other ministers and representatives for the 46th ordinary session of the AU Executive Council. The opening session was chaired by Dr. Mohamed Salim Ould Mezour, Mauritania's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
As the record shows, at this point in time, we have attendance from 49 countries. The only ones missing in this sitting are those that have been sanctioned.
This session set the stage for adopting the draft agenda and addressing key issues shaping the AU summit, including reparations, United Nations Security Council reforms, global financing architecture, and climate finance. It also provides an opportunity to vote for AUC commissioners and members of various committees, reinforcing the AU's governance and leadership. At the meeting, Musa Faki, the outgoing AUC chair, said, and I quote, "I will not stay one more day," a possible allusion to rumors saying he could be extended for a year or two in case of an unsuccessful vote.
We are talking of the theme of reparations at this convention, This is an issue that is dear to the African continent.
Mudavadi did not miss to galvanize support while exuding confidence of a win, asking the African nations to vote for Kenya's and East Africa's candidate Raila Odinga as the African Union Commission chair to ensure the fast tracking of peace and stability of the continent.
I think I would say that the prospects for President for Honorable Raila to capture the seat are very, very high. He has campaigned very extensively on the African continent. President Ruto has given him all the support.
The AUC chairmanship election will take place over the weekend. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Still in the whole spirits of matters AUC, Musa Faki's two-term chairmanship of the Africa Union Commission comes to an end in January 2025, marking a period of both triumphs and challenges. Leading the AU since 2017, Faki has guided the continent through political and economic turbulence. Mwege William delves in both the successes and failures that have defined his time at the helm of the AU.
Serving as a Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs in Chad, Musa Faki won a majority of votes in the hope he will lead the continent into a stable part of the world. At the Ethiopia-based offices, one of Faki's jobs he jumped on with vigor was the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Launched in 2018, Africa Continental Free Trade Area is credited as one of Faki's most significant achievements, which aimed at creating a single market for goods and services across all the 54 African countries.
We met in Rwanda, signed the agreement in Kigali, and brought it into being. After years of discussion, suddenly there was a momentum which was seized and the agreement came into being.
In Faki's tenure, he boasts of the launch of the Silencing the Guns initiative, aimed at ending conflicts and promoting peace across Africa. While the goal was ambitious and not fully realized, the initiative brought significant attention to the need for peace and security, leading to various peace agreement and conflict resolution efforts in countries like Sudan and South Sudan.
Peace and security in Africa and in the world, in fact, is a major source of concern for us.
For a peaceful continent, we must foster dialogue and reconciliation. In late 2021, Ethiopia formed the National Dialogue Commission to lead inclusive talks, independently tackling ongoing conflicts with wide public involvement.
Under Faki's leadership, numerous health crises affected the continent, which included the Ebola outbreak and the COVID-19 pandemic. The AU played a crucial role in coordinating the continent's response to health crisis. The constitutional lawyer is also lauded for taking a front seat in advocating for human rights and good governance. Despite the Silencing the Guns initiative, Africa continues to grapple with persistent conflicts and violence. Regions like Sahel, the Horn of Africa, and parts of Central Africa remain hotspots for terrorism, insurgency, and intercommunal violence. The AU's efforts to mediate and resolve these conflicts have often been hampered by limited resources and political complexities.
Integration that we are talking about should and be built only by taking into account the geopolitical situations and the economic situations as they are happening in the world, because Africa is suffering the consequences of world governance.
The AU has faced criticism for its institutional weaknesses and lack of effective implementation of its decisions. Faki himself admitted that 93% of AU decisions were not implemented between 2021 and 2023. This highlights the challenges in translating policy into action and the need for stronger mechanisms to ensure compliance by member states. Africa's economic landscape remains faced with a myriad of challenges. High levels of poverty, unemployment, and economic inequality persist across the continent. The AU's efforts to address these issues have been insufficient, and economic integration has been slower than anticipated.
The main reason why there is no growth is because the growth factors are not funded. They are not even understood.
The challenges faced by the continent are known, and the expectations that are nurtured are known.
Musa Faki's tenure as the chairperson of the African Union has been a period of both progress and setbacks. As the African Union Commission prepares to elect its next leader, the job is already cut out, focusing towards a more united, peaceful and prosperous Africa. Moige William, TV47.
Right. Back home, more than 18 investors have been shortlisted to set up factories at the Sagana Industrial Park in Kirinyaga Trade Cabinet Secretary Liki Nyanjui says the investors are expected to set up industries dealing in the processing and manufacturing of goods for the export, especially agricultural, leather and textiles. Speaking during an inspection tour of the park, the CS said Kirinyaga County will be advertising for the lease of land and warehouses at the park. The Sagana Industrial Park lies on 242 acres of land and incorporates an affordable housing project. On her part, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru expressed satisfaction with the progress made towards completion of the project, but asked contractors of the EPZ project to speed up work so as to meet the May deadline for the launch.
Kwa hapo awali viwanda ilikuwa ni ya Nairobi, miji mikubwa kama Mombasa na sehemu zingine, lakini sasa tunaona in rural counties mahali kama hapa Kirinyaga utakuta watu 2,000 wanafanya kazi hapa. Pesa za kutoka nchi za nje for export zinapatikana kutoka hapa. And that is how we can lift our people from poverty. Instead of exporting our children waenda wakafanya kazi, wacha wafanyie hapa kazi na sisi to export the commodities.
This plan was written in 2018. This land previously, Waziri, had been grabbed. We went to court and fought for it and got it back and immediately designated it to do the industrial park to safeguard the interests of Kirinyaga people.
Now, to matters education, and Mount Kenya University founder and chairman, Professor Simon Gisharu, has called on the government to establish an independent body to oversee higher education funding. He emphasized the need for a more sustainable model that reduces reliance on government funding. Andrin Kileme has the details.
With public universities facing financial challenges, Mount Kenya University founder and chairperson Professor Simon Gisharu has called for a radical shift in the way higher education is funded. In a proposal to Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba, Professor Gisharu urged the government to create an independent body to manage student financing. The university sector has seen significant growth over the last 15 years. The number of institutions has increased to 79, and student enrollment has nearly doubled from 361,000 in 2013 to 620,000 in 2022. However, with the rise in student numbers, Professor Gisharu has warned that the sector is facing a funding crisis. He also recommended shifting from a predominantly grant-based system to a loan-based system for financing higher education. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Thank you, Andrin Kilemi. And by the way, happy birthday to you, Andrin Kilemi, as you turn the number of years you're turning. We're taking a short break, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the Daily Report with yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita and Catherine Simaloi on the Sign Language docket. Don't go too far. We have a lot in store for you, including our very special conversation, this being the marketplace. Have you ever thought about registering for a trademark? Well, we're going to be giving you those details right here. Don't go too far.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upward, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Bet Bila Stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybets.com.
Right, welcome back. Catherine Simaloi is on the sign language docket. I'm used to Stanley Nyaringita. Let's get sporty, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Washuri, Kenya's rising dart star, has made an historical achievement by becoming the first ever Kenyan to be invited to compete in the prestigious Modas Super Series that is set to take place in the United Kingdom this February. Peter, who plays within the Buffaloes franchise of the African Darts Series League, will be representing the East and North Africa region of the African Darts Group. His achievement has led to Sijua Darts Group committing themselves to nurturing local talent across all age groups and committing to nurturing local talents across all age groups and promoting the growth of darts in the country.
Kwa kweli mchezo unaweza tengeneza hera nazo. Hata kuna vijana wengi nyuma yangu wenye tulianzia tu na wao lakini wakazimia kidogo, lakini sasa hii hata naona masimu inalia sana wakinitafuta kwani umeendelea aje. So naona kama watarudia tu bado hiyo mchezo.
It means a lot because it is one step forward. We are moving in the right direction because now he is going to compete professionally, and when he go there he is going to expose the game of darts and they show how Kenya we are doing.
The barrier is broken. It's the springboard. No, it's just the beginning. It's well, the only way is up basically. There was an extremely good PDC event organised last year, which honestly I was surprised how good it was. It was as good, if not better, than even events I've been to in the UK.
Right, from the bullseye to the football pitches, and Kenya national women team Harambee Starlets have intensified their training ahead of the 2026 Africa Women Cup of Nations qualifiers against Tunisia. Today marked their day 3 in the training camps as the squad continues to build confidence. The first leg of the match will be played on the 21st of this month at the Ulinzi Complex, while the second leg will be played in Tunisia.
Camp iko poa, kuna competition amongst ourselves kwa training which ni sign poa ya kuonyesha watu wako tayari kumake sure tuna go hard for the task ahead of us. Qualifiers hazijai kuwa easy and again itakuwa rahisi but come May lazima tushinde because tunaanza home, so tuna have to make sure tunatoka hapa tumesecure 3 points at hand when tuna go away. Watoke kwa wingi watu support juu support yao ni motivation kubwa kwetu sana na niko sure tutawaangusha.
And still on the same spot, the Football Kenya Federation has promised to conduct reforms aimed at improving refereeing standards and transparency through scrutiny over questionable decisions that have influenced game results. Additionally, FKF will implement a structured vetting process and data collection system for all referees within the league. Football Kenya Federation President Hussein Mohamed today graced Division 1 referees exercise program that at Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret City.
I'm very excited to see what is going on today. This has been, of course, as a result of the Federation realizing that we have a very big gap in terms of the standards in officiating our games at our leagues. And I think such a process is important so that we're able to get the right quality of referees to manage our league games or to oversee our league games. Over the last couple of seasons, I think we've witnessed, unfortunately, a rise in hooliganism. We've witnessed a rise in dissatisfaction from the clubs.
Make sure that we improve the performance of referees. We have been given that task, me being a former referee and the instructors we have in place. We are sure we are going to deliver with the support we are getting from the National Executive Committee.
And the Kenya National Rugby Sevens team have been preparing for the HSBC Rugby 7 series. And after 3 legs, they have now shifted focus to the 4th leg, which will be held in Canada. Our sports reporter Dan Kamutua is following up on their preparations and has prepared the following story. Take a look.
Done with the Dubai, Cape Town and Perth legs. And now shifting focus to the HSBC Vancouver Rugby Sevens. This is the Kenya National Rugby Sevens team Shujaa.
The circuit, it's not hard as we always thought it is. I see it got a potential, winning something.
In Perth, line out was a big disadvantage for us, a big challenge for us, but we've really worked hard and hopefully we're going to do better on that front moving forward.
Shujaa's young squad led by coach Kevin Wambua have had an interesting time in this season series. They began the series with a 10th place finish in Dubai, secured a 7th place finish in Cape Town leg, and a 10th place finish in Perth 7th campaign.
So we've been ready since the season started, and you can see from personally, let's compare the other tournament. Me losing to New Zealand and Fiji with such a margin, I've never been to such a situation. To Fiji and New Zealand, they to chapa like 40-0, 47-5. So we are very, very ready. And coming to Vancouver, I think we're gonna step up because the pooling is very fair.
I'll just be honest with everybody. It's not easy. 12-team format. There are no easy games anymore. There are no easy pools anymore. But the boys are fighting. We are learning. We're improving every single day.
Shujaa will face Great Britain, France, and Argentina in Pool A of the Vancouver Sevens, which is scheduled to take place from 21st to 23rd of this month in Canada. Coach Kelvin Wambua is expected to name his squad on Thursday.
Kubu was with us we called him up in 2023 when we got this job and we were calling the players in, but he had suspension, so we had to drop him. But we've been really monitoring him. He came back in, he had a knock, he's been assessed with the physio, so he's training quite well. He's giving us something extra, something different that teams haven't seen before, so we are quite excited to have him around. Siketa, I think the youngest here, just 18. He has a lot of confidence, a lot of potential, and he's a player that we are really looking to see how we can fast track him.
I think the injuries tuko nazo ni Chris Antojuang na John Okoth, and vile wana respond to physiotherapy, I guess they'll be back before the series is over.
Kenya are now ranked 9th in the series with 14 points, while Fiji and Argentina are on the lead with 48 points.
We are pooled with GB. GB is position 7. GB is position 8. We are position 9. So that's the team that we are really chasing hard. And it's good that we are pooled with them so that we can do the business now in Vancouver.
Inside 3 legs that they have been into, they have learned lesson, they have gained experience, and now they shift focus to Vancouver Sevens in Canada. My name is Duncan Mutua.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Bet bila stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybets.com.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 41 minutes past the top of the hour, and anytime you see me with this, definitely. Right here at the marketplace, it's class time, and class is on session. I am the substitute teacher. Joining us this evening is someone who understands our topic tonight very, very well, registering a trademark. Now, for example, today, the Anguka Nayo, you probably know that song, Anguka Nayo. That particular song crew went to the Kenya Industrial Property Institute to do what? To register the patent and have a trademark for that particular song. It was a whole colorful event, and now that definitely sparks up the whole conversation of, as a brand, do you even need a trademark? That is what we're going to be getting into this evening. And joining us for that definitely is Alvin Pio. She is the Assistant Registrar at the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. Karibu sana. Thank you. We have here a whole list of some forms here. She'll be walking us through what actually you need to know about all this. But first off, I'll let you tell us, what is a trademark?
Well, a trademark is basically a sign that distinguishes one enterprise, the goods or services of one enterprise from another. Simply said, we say that it's a batch of origin. You're able to look at a product or a service and quickly denote where it comes from based on the sign. Some of us knows it. We know it loosely as a logo.
Okay.
We call them devices.
Right.
So they can be either together with a logo or with just words.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So, for example, and this whole session, we're going to craft a hypothetical brand, and we're going to walk through it. So, my name is Stanley Nyaringita. So, I'm going to use Nyaringita as the logo, for example.
Okay.
And I want to have a pencil written Nyaringita as well. So, I'd love you to walk me through, and to the many viewers watching us this evening who have certain kind of ideas that they really want to implement, but they are wondering, how do I come up with, I have the idea, but then how do I make sure no one steals? Because I get that is what you're telling us,
yes,
that you have a unique logo.
Yes.
So where do I start?
So, well, for trademarks, or as we've called them,
Yeah.
they are marks that are used in the marketplace, and that's why we say for trade.
Yes.
So the first call of where you start is when you come to the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. We are charged with the mandate to register industrial property. So industrial property includes trademarks.
Right.
So the first step is to do a search.
Right.
So we want to check, and we have to note that for trademarks, we check against goods or services. So, for instance, I thought you were going to use TV47, but
well, okay,
that's also a trademark.
Yes, we
but
also go
we
that
can
route.
use Nyaringita, is
Okay.
it, for the pencil.
Right.
So for instance, you've come with a drawing of a pencil, probably,
All right.
and the name Nyaringita. So we start with the search, and we'll ask the person making the request. So it's a very simple search form.
Okay.
So it's a request to tell us the status, whether there is any other trademark. So yours is for purposes of registration, but this form, we also use it when someone else wants to inquire whether the trademark Nyaringita has been registered.
Right. So probably, actually, we could start with that because we have, it's written form TM27.
TM27, yes.
That's the correct one.
Yes.
Yes. So you could kindly help us.
Come?
Yes. Could kindly help us bit by bit in the whole process of just understanding. I, as Nyaringita, want to have a pencil branded with my name.
Yes.
What do I need to know on this?
So this is form. So TM is an abbreviation for trademark.
Okay, right.
So we have them in numbers. So it's 27, sorry.
Right, just tap
so
again.
I tap again.
Yes, I hope it will...
So this is also an innovation that we also register.
Right.
For the tapping
just
of the screen.
maximize it, yes.
Yes, so request for search, this is under Rule 114, so we don't need to stress ourselves with that. So it's
Right.
application for preliminary advice. So the registrar is giving you advice as to whether this trademark is available. So the name of the person making the request.
Right.
So this is, it could be Stanley Nyaringita asking. And so you give us an address and a telephone number.
Right. I kindly would request you to speak a little bit audibly.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yes.
So the name of the person making the request.
Yes,
I
yes.
think I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, okay.
So the address. So this is basically PO box number. So we want to know who is making the request, who is the address, the email.
Okay.
This is a feature that we've added because of technology now.
Right.
In our older forms, we didn't have that. So there's the mobile number as well.
Right.
And your telephone number if you have an office number.
Okay.
So basically for us, someone else could be making the request, but someone else is looking to own the mark. So the trademark, as we said, we need one representation. So there are marks that come as word marks. So for instance, if it's Nyaringita, we would have the name. Maybe you want to write it in special script, because as we've said, this is innovativeness and inventiveness. We are trying to distinguish this trademark from others so that whatever products I want to sell, the pencils, probably HB, I want to distinguish it from those ones. So people could quickly see Nyaringita, probably with your face if you want, or with a pencil, or rather a representation of a pencil with its name, maybe with some colors. So this is represented here, and you can set it out here, or you can even attach it as per what you would want to appear in the certificate when it's registered. So through here, we have, this is a search. We are saying that it will be made in respect of goods and services. As we've said, these are trademarks that are used, as we say, trade in commerce.
Yes.
So there are certain goods or services that you're targeting. And so we have a NIS classification. And this is very easy. All this is available on our website. So you don't need to cram all the classes. We have 45 classes.
35?
45.
45 classes.
45 classes.
Okay.
So each class has a description of goods or services. So you scan through the services. We call it the NIS classes. So certain agreements, when they are signed, this was signed in Nice in France.
Okay.
So we call it after the place where it was signed. So this is an international classification system that KIPI uses so that we can be able to administratively search and see whether there's any other Nyaringita within this class of goods, so that we do not cause confusion in the market. So anything that is either identical, so that means Nyaringita itself, or anything that is similar. So maybe someone has Nyangirita or Nyaringita.
I get that a lot, by the way. Most of my colleagues calling me that. But anyway.
Yeah, so that would be confusingly similar in in this instance. So the classes are indicated here. So if it's for class 16 is for stationery, printed matter, whatever instrument we'll use. So for pencils, we'll say the
it falls
goods,
under that.
We'll say the goods, then we'll put the class.
Okay.
So you could want to use the same for your clothing line, for something else. So we have we call it a multiple classification system, meaning I can use it for, say, letterheads or pencils. Then I can also use it for my clothing line. So for clothes is another class. So we charge according to the classification. So the first class of goods is usually 3,000. Then the next one, or rather for the application, it's 4,000. Then the next one, we call it the subsequent class. So it's 1,000 less for a local. If it's a company that is a foreign company, then you'll pay in dollars. So there is the distinction. So either, in law, we either have a natural person applying or a legal entity. So that includes companies. So we check whether the legal entity is either a foreign company or a local company. So that's how we will calculate your fees. So you can have up to the 45 classes if you so wish, and pay accordingly. So each of the subsequent classes will be 1,000 less if you're a local. For dollars are also less but different. Their amounts would not be the same. So it's a bit higher for the...
So even before we get to part two, because I know matters money really touch on most Kenyans. When you mention we charge this particular amount of money, they want to understand, first of all, why are you charging that amount of money?
Yes.
How beneficial is that amount of money that I'm going to remove? If it's 5,000 and pay, how beneficial is it, to me as well? And this is the point that I would like you as a viewer to interact with us as well, even as we continue. Talk to us on our social media platforms, particularly call in live 0795 045 864 to pigia simu, because this conversation is all about you. Ask all those questions that you have about this whole process of registering for a trademark. So, again, for this pencil, for example, that I have here. So you tell us, so 4,000 Kenyan shillings?
The search form is 3,000.
3,000?
3,000 for the first class.
For the first class?
Yes. So the subsequent class would be less.
So let me jot that down so that I see cumulatively how much...
how much we charge for the whole process. I'll tell you the whole fee. And for a local company, I think it's very affordable because a trademark is registered for 10 years. And as we've said, we give you exclusive rights. Exclusive rights, and that's the rationale for registering your brand or your trademark. It means no one else can use it without your permission.
Right.
So the permission sometimes comes in the form of money. So you can license your brands. You can either sell them out,
Right.
you know, so we call them assignments or licensing. This is property. It's intangible property, but it is just transactable as normal property as you'd have land.
Right.
So what the rationale is, the registrar, it's like a social contract that we have with the public. We give you exclusive rights for a certain period of time, and you can be able to recoup. So we continue to have a vibrant and innovative society, as one of our key mandates is to promote inventiveness and innovativeness.
Yes.
So that we enable creatives, we enable people who are inventing to know that if I come up with a beautiful brand, no one else is able to use it. I can use it and for trademarks, it can be registered in perpetuity, meaning I am able to renew it every 10 years.
Okay.
We have very old trademarks in our register that continue to bloom till today.
So for the search, you've told us 3,000.
3,000.
Right. So
when we, for instance, this is the first step. So when we tell you it's available for registration,
yes,
the next step would be to go to the application.
Okay.
So when you go to the application, you file a form called Form TM2. So that one is 4,000. So we're assuming we're doing one class for Nyaringita,
right,
for the pencil. So we will do. So that is 4,000, so that's 7,000.
Okay.
You're a local company. Are you a local company registering? Yes.
Yes, I'm a local company.
So you'll pay in Kenya shillings.
Okay.
So that's 4,000 plus
Okay.
3,000, that's 7,000.
Okay.
Then the law requires us to publish before we give you the registration. The assumption is, as I've said, we are giving you exclusive rights.
Yes, yes.
So we have to inform the public what is almost going to the register. So this means everyone, we have a journal on our website, www.kipi.go.ke. It's here. So this journal comes every end of the month, we publish at the end of every month.
Right.
So you're able to see what is about to be registered.
Okay.
So for instance, if your name was Nyaringita and I have Nyangirita, I would be able to oppose and say no. When these pencils come into the market, they're going to cause confusion. So the law says that we have to give, this is a statutory period that is embedded within the law, so it is 60 days. So within the 60 days, you pay for 3,000 shillings for us to be able to publish.
Okay.
For everyone to be able to see. Competitors are also able to see what is about to come, whether it is going to disrupt their market.
Right.
So this is the whole essence.
Okay.
So when someone objects, a whole different procedure begins. So we start a legal process. So we'll ask you why you're opposing, why you feel it should be opposed, and then we'll make a decision whether the registration should go on or it should not proceed.
Okay.
So then if we make a decision and you're not satisfied, then you can appeal to the High Court.
All right.
But then if there's within the 60-day period, there's no objection, it means that we will go to registration. So registration is 2,000. So you can see your calculation that you have about 12,000
yes,
for 10 years.
So
if you're to, peradventure, you came to the registry today, according to our act,
so
the international obligations we have, the date of receipt will be today.
Okay.
12th of February 2025.
Okay.
So it means if, regardless of the processes, regardless of the 60 days, your date of receipt becomes your date of entitlement of registration. So that becomes the effective date of registration.
Okay.
Then we will calculate 10 years. So you can see the math. So 12 February 2035. So I think commensurate to how much I think we are charging peanuts for 10 years, and we are giving you exclusive rights in the market for you to be able to use the trademark without anyone interfering with it as is.
All right.
The register.
So there's also the whole part 2 of it. So even as we're getting into part 2, I know a number of callers that are going to be coming in and questions that are going to be coming in involve, because we were talking about the pencil here.
Yes.
When someone is thinking, I don't want to have pencils in the market. I want to open a new let's say, bar, for example.
A bar?
Yes, and people start to be very creative because you're looking at a certain high-end kind of a bar that even the name attracts people as well.
Exactly.
So for such kind of, hospitality, those kind of services, how does that work?
You name anything you'd want to do under the sun. I said we have an international classification system of all goods and services. So all those catering services, whether it's a bar, whether it's hotel accommodation, whatever you'd call it. So we classify it according to what exactly you'd want. And allow me to say that sometimes you can have a broader breadth of description of goods or services. For instance, for the pencil, we can say stationery, so that I'm not limited, to pencils alone.
Yes,
so
yes.
when I say stationery, I can use it on any other thing apart from pencils. But it exposes you to more objections.
Okay.
So that's the catch.
Right.
So it is just you looking into, and so we have all this classification. If we had enough time, I would be able to show you how we classify. So anything, I believe, under the sun is classified within these 45 classes. And if not, then we'll be able to see what is related to it. Then we will classify it for you. So
Right.
bar services would also be classified.
All right.
Yes.
So some 2 minutes to 10 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. This conversation continues after this very, very short break, talking about the process of registering a trademark. You are a young person out there, you're very, very innovative, and you want to have your own startup, for example. You want to have your own products out here, but you are trying to think, first of all, what kind of a name do I give this product? And I have the name. Will it be different from others out there? This is your conversation, so talk to us. When you come back after this break, call us live, weka credit sahi, 0795 045 864. You can also talk to us on WhatsApp, 0793 267 279. I'll be sampling your feedback and you'll be learning. See you in a few.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50 going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Right, 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you very much for being with us. This is the Daily Report, particularly this being the marketplace. Catherine Semaloi is on the sign language interpretation. Before the break, we were delving on the conversation about the process of registering for a trademark. And Alvin Apio is here with us all the way from Kenya Industrial Property Institute. This is a parastatal under the Ministry of Trade. And she's done an amazing work. Previously, we were looking at a different form. Right now, it's a different form as well. This is a form TM2. Don't worry about these big names. She'll be explaining it to you, because right now, even as you continue having your supper, you probably have a certain brand of soda, you're just drinking, and you've ever thought of who even registers this particular brands, whatever kind of product that you consume back at home. Who even, looks at these products? Well, it is Kipi. And they're here with us tonight just to help you understand as a consumer or someone who wants to actually have your own product. And this is the right form I can see, application for registration of a trademark. Walk us through this now, this particular bit of the application.
Well, so we're assuming you've done you had done the search.
Okay.
And the registrar had said that your application, or rather you can proceed and apply. And it's important for me to say that during the search, and as we've said, looking at the costings, I just want to emphasize that when someone uses, for instance, Nyaringita, and you'd write a cease and desist letter to them and tell them, stop using my name or else I'll take you to court, And this person wants to confirm whether indeed Nyaringita has been registered. So that same form would be used. So for different purposes. For Nyaringita, he wanted to register the trademark. And for the other person, who is Elvin, who is using probably Nyaringita, and Nyaringita has written a letter to me to stop using the trademark, then I would use that form, which we call a proprietary search, for me to be able to know who the owner of that mark is.
Right. So and in case someone has just joined us right now, the form is
TM27. So trademark form, the number is 27.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so here we have now the application form. So this is where now there's a commitment. And really, we open a file now that you indeed are looking to register a trademark.
Right.
So this is the first part, and I said our forms are very simple and very easy. It's a trademark with a clear representation of the trademark. So what we talked about, as earlier I had said, that a trademark is a sign that distinguishes a product of one entity from another. It's just simple like that. This trademark can either be it can be a brand, it can be a signature, it can be a name. When you look at TV47,
yes.
TV, that's a T and a V. It means television, isn't it? And some of us would say that they're letters T and V. So it can
is.
Exactly. So when we say this is the representation, this is a very good student as we go along. So this is TV47.
Okay.
And if you want to add color, for instance, since we cannot give the letters are only 26 in the alphabet.
Yes.
So what we do, we call it disclaimer. I say that we give exclusive rights.
Okay.
Meaning someone else can be able to use TV separately from TV47.
Okay.
47 as well. 4 and 7, we will ask you to disclaim the exclusive use of the numeral 4 and the numeral 7.
Right.
Because this, and we have seen it, K24 would want to use the 4.
Okay.
So someone else would want to use it. Citizen TV would want to use TV to represent TV.
Okay.
And since this is a common feature for television and transmission of news, then we cannot give it to one person.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the branding is for exclusivity, meaning we are stopping other people from using.
All right.
So the combination is what we are registering, so that no one else can use the combination of TV47. So someone thought of 47 and made us now know that when you say 47,
representing the 47 counties.
Yes. So that was the whole idea. Yes. Excellent. So when I think about it, I think about a TV station, not necessarily the 47 counties, because of what is in front of
So even before you continue, so Alvin, I have separated this two intentionally.
Yes.
Because I mean, as you say, this two, the TV as well as the 47, they can be commonly used.
Yes.
Someone can come and say, but for the TV47, it doesn't have a space. Mine has a space. Do you look at some of these very subtle changes? For example, how a small V, for example, a small T, and someone says, well, mine is unique in this way. Yeah. Does that count?
Excellent question.
Okay.
Because when we are looking at whether this trademark is different, as you've said, the spacing, we look at whether the differentiation of that space would be, it's sufficient enough to distinguish. As I've said, the key element when I was defining a trademark, it must distinguish one product from the other, one service from the other.
Yes.
So when we look at TV and there's a space, we look at the average consumer. So this is how we analyze who would be using these services.
Okay.
Are they able to note the spacing and be able to differentiate on that basis?
Okay.
So I said it is identical. The law says that the registrar should not register anything that is identical or confusingly similar.
Okay.
So for me, spacing does not count much, because then, unless it is, I don't know how you would do it for you to be able to convince me that this is one and the same thing, that it can be able to distinguish one product from the other.
Right.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we are looking at something, these elements must not cause confusion, especially if you're in the same line of services.
In the same sector as well.
Yes, so if the classification, you remember the classification you were looking at. For instance, for TV47, if it's entertainment or within class 41, you know, then we will classify you there. So anything within that class, we will find all those TV and radio stations. And the spacing does not count. There are other aspects that you can add to it. For instance, a color that can distinguish it, a logo that can distinguish it, use of microphones are common features. You know, use of, those are things that I've said that you have to disclaim within that class of goods.
Right.
Because then, most often than not, people will be using a microphone within this class of...
most definitely.
Yes, and the word TV as well is not distinctive.
And particularly, not even in the country as well, because globally, because here it just box to the country as much, but then now globally, you had told us earlier that for a foreigner who wants to again register in the country, so how about if, for example, they had a similar name and they have other branches in different parts of the country and they want to register in Kenya and they have a similar name as well? How do you go about that? It could be the TV47 as well. There could be very minor changes as well. Yes.
So the question is, number one, the classical rule is that IP, or intellectual property, is territorial. Meaning anyone who is coming from abroad has to register it within our territory. But something peculiar about trademarks is that we also look at prior use. And so this is a Commonwealth country, so we also have common law. So you're not supposed to pass off the goods of another as yours under common law. The beauty of registration is that we say in law it's prima facie proof of ownership. Once I see the certificate, I know that it belongs to Nyaringita. But if under common law, because we still use common law, that's what we call passing off. I'll be able to establish and say I've been in the market long enough. You know, so that this person who is a new entrant could be copying my brand. You know, so the issue is if the person, and that's why we're saying there are foreigners who come into our market to register. If the person is registering, has a registration here, and we have an international registration system under the trademark system, which is called the Madrid system. So this is an agreement that was signed in Madrid. So we call it the Madrid, we signed under the Madrid Protocol, which Kenya is a party to. So we also recognize those marks. You know, so territories and counties are not a limitation. We will search whatever is in our database, and that will stop you from registration.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that's just part one of it. The class is in session, as we had said. This particular form that, in case you're just joining us right now, is called a Form TM2, Application for Registration of a Trademark. And we have done that. So first here for TV47. Mwalimu, take us to number 2.
Yeah, so we have different categories of trademarks. And I also need to say that a trademark can be represented in 2-dimensional, 3-dimensionals. It could be a signature. We've seen Pierre Cardin. You know, Nyaringita can sign his signature, and that becomes his brand. So it could be rendered in 2, and in our country, under the Trademarks Act, we also recognize 2 or 3-dimensionals, meaning bottles can be registered. I've seen vehicles, you know, matatus registering their brands as it looks in 3D. Which is also, this are emerging fields, which is an interesting thing that we do. So a trademark, an ordinary trademark, could be this TV47 is an ordinary trademark under the class of goods for telecommunications or entertainment, that class of goods that I was talking about in class 41. A certification trademark is someone who certifies, and I'll just make it simple. like the KEBS diamond mark.
Yes.
This is someone who certifies a quality of certain goods. For instance, for us, when we see the diamond mark of quality, we know that the goods are fit for consumption.
Yes.
For human consumption. So this is a certifying body. They do not use the goods necessarily, but they, within that, when we see that mark, we know what it connotes and what it tells us. Well, there's another aspect of geographical indications that we also register through a certification trademark.
Right.
So this is something that we, a geographical indication, a big word, but these are just indications that connote certain quality, products that have a certain quality,
Right.
are mainly because of their reputation
Okay.
and because of their geographical origin.
Right.
So it can be because of natural characteristics that are also humanly incorporated, human characteristics that have been incorporated. So things like Kericho tea.
Okay, okay.
So you cannot replicate the weather there.
Oh, yeah.
You need to grow that kind of tea.
Okay.
So these are, they are registered under this, so a certifying body certifying that this product, you know, like AFA or the tea board would be able to certify that this product or the coffee that comes from Java is coming from this kind of, this territory.
Right.
So they are certifying, but they're not using the product.
Okay. And still on the whole bit of certifying, before we move on,
Yeah.
you mentioned KEBS.
Yes.
And one would want to ask the partnership
Yes.
between KIPI as well as KEBS and other business registration parastatals as well, so that if Nyaringita pencil, for example, or could you also use, let's say, for TV47 and other services and goods as well. So which one comes first? Do I pass by KIPI and then get the trademark and then head over to KEBS? Or do I start off with KEBS, then come over to KIPI? How does that work?
Well, these are distinct institutions that handle different and distinct mandates. KEBS is mainly, KEBS looks into the quality.
Okay.
For us, I don't need to check whether TV47 has how many cameras or what they are doing. All I need is to just see your branding.
The branding, okay.
Yeah, so this, and you know, for KEBS, this is a mandatory requirement that all products must be checked for fitness for human consumption. So that's what I would say. Of course, you would start wherever you start, because our law says anyone who proposes to use or has already used. So a trademark can be used and then you come and register, or when you're still at the initial stages, you can still, so it means proposes to use, you can still come. So there's no limit as to when you can come. For us, because it's not mandatory.
Right.
But for certain requirements, like for instance, a business registration name, a company name, those are requirements that when you're opening a company, you must go to the company registry to have your proper registration. But for us, the law allows you to either already use, propose, as you're still proposing, and if you're still using, you can still come.
Right.
Yes.
So basically, as KIPI was saying, no
We are
pressure.
open.
No pressure.
Yes.
You have your product ready when you are, come to us now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So you had walked through us
the certification, and I don't want to get too complicated.
Okay.
So this comes together with the rules because we talked about quality. So there's a certain quality or reputation. I would use, Nyaringita, I know you're from this region, so these soapstones, so they'll specifically come from tobacco.
Yes.
So no one can replicate, or until that stone will ever either be extinct, we cannot find it anywhere else.
Okay.
There could be a certifying body that certifies that this is a product from tobacco. So they would bring these regulations that are governing them under this this part. So you just need to tick. The boxes are not visible, but there are boxes here. So if it's for you, T47, we will do a trademark, which is an ordinary trademark.
Right.
So a defensive trademark is a mark that it's a statement. This one is a different one.
You just have that
As
the top.
the word, it gives an indication of what it is.
Okay.
It's a defense.
Right.
So you remember we have classification. So there are certain trademarks, due to their notoriety, they may not be used in all the classes.
Right.
But if they are used by any other person, then they would cause confusion because there'll be a direct, people would think that it is the other person. So I want to use and these are what we call well-known marks. They also fall under here. So a person who has a well-known mark can come and register all the classes as a defensive mark, even the ones that they may not use. For instance, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola may not be interested in making maybe shoe polish.
Yeah.
But if anyone was to do it, everyone would associate that shoe polish with Coca-Cola. If KRA, you see the lion head, that logo is used in any product, it tells us that this is the taxman. The colors, the head itself. So then it acts as a defensive mark. Though it is not used in those classes of goods, no one can register it as is.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what basically a defensive trademark is. So here, for a person, unfortunately, so Nakumat went down. Nakumat had also registered in all the classes, for all the goods and services, with its trunk of the elephant as its logo. So it could also fall under defensive trademark.
Someone hearing you mention that they're wondering if I am opening my own supermarket, for example, do I need to again, and even as you mentioned, so here, you know, a list of niche classes as you're telling us. Do I need to again register for all the classes if I have a certain outlet that will be selling most of this? How does that work?
No, but you remember that these are products that you ascertain that this trademark is yours. You'll note that outlets sell different brands.
Yes.
So at some point you saw Nakumat trying to brand their own products.
Yes.
And I believe that's why they had come in to register all the classes. Because they were trying to get into different brands and using Nakumat, which I'm seeing many retail stores do.
Do the same.
So here, the proprietor, you're telling us that brand is yours. So it's associated to those goods. So there's no limitation as to how many classes you can use. But the danger is we have a removal for non-use. So if you're not using it, as I've said, these are rights that we are giving you, exclusive rights. So if you've not used it for a continuous period of 5 years from the time that you registered, someone can come in and ask for us to remove it from the register for non-use. Yeah, so that's where the rubber meets the road. So you have to commit yourself that you're going to use it for the classes that you're registering it in.
There's a question here for you. Is it possible for a technician to use a logo instead of a business name, or must have both?
As I've said, these are distinct. A business name gives you the legality of you to operate in that outfit as a business. For us, what sells your brand, that moves whatever technology you're selling, whether they're computers or phones, is the brand name. So you need both. Yeah.
So
yes.
I understand. I think we have about 4 or less minutes. Actually, about 2 minutes. So you could help us understand. I have this particular brand and I see someone else using it. Are there penalties for this? Are we going to have this person arrested, stop using it? What kind of penalties are there for someone who's using someone else's trademark?
As I say, that the first stop is to tell the person to stop and tell them that you are the registered owner of the trademark. Then you're able to enforce it. That's why we give you the right, the exclusive right. You can take the person to court. The next course of action is to go to court. The only administrative part that KIPI comes in is in between when I talked about objections. When you come in and say that it's similar to mine. So those who are registered or using brands also need to be alert and visit our website to check the journal on what is about to be registered. Some businesses or partnerships, people fall out and someone comes to register in their own name, then come and stop you from using the mark. So then this is an enforceable right under the law. So you
Right.
can go to the apex within the court system
Right.
once you have a registration.
So.
Yes.
So even as you also give us your final remarks, there are definitely people out here who are wondering, I'm not as creative enough to come up with a certain logo, fancy trademark that I see out here. Can I come to Kippy and they can help with that? You can answer that as you give us your final remarks.
Well, Kippy is mandated to give information, technical information about industrial property.
Okay.
So if you come into Kippy, we will assist you, not necessarily to create your logo, but to tell you the parameters within the law of how you can do it. And I believe there are people who are in that business of creating logos. So we go to the point of giving you this information, telling you how you will apply and assisting you to apply, not necessarily helping you with your brands, but really it's our key mandate, and that's why we are here even today to share this information with the public. Yes.
Your final remarks, something that you'd love Kenyans to know about Kippy today?
I think for me is that Kippy is a very important institution in terms of driving the economy of this country. We also are promoting the beta. When you look at MSMEs, small businesses, you've looked at the price for the locals. It has been, we are very conscious of the fact that local industry, we need to promote that which is within our country.
Yes.
So 12,000 through the process for 10 years is a good start. We also support agriculture, the creative superhighway, the digital superhighway, which is what the government is now looking forward to. I think we are very open to the public coming, and we give this information for free so that people can be able to continue to be innovative and inventive in this country as we drive technology forward.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Asante sana Elvina Pio. She is Assistant Registrar of Trademarks at the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, as well as Assistant Manager Legal Affairs at the same institute as well. Asante sana. And asante sana to you for following through our business class this particular evening. This is The Marketplace. This is Daily Report. Catherine Simalawi has been on the sign language interpretation. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday evening.